Hey, do you want some?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm good.
I mean,
now,
it's
thanks.
afternoon. Come on.
Here.
Hey, thanks, dude.
All right. Let me know if you need any
Good
more.
stuff. All right. So,
Party up, everybody.
All right. I think we got it.
is that Scotch or Irish?
Irish.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't taste like burnt rubber.
There are things we know, but there are also the ones we don't know.
You deserve the truth.
So, what are we talking about today?
So, today we're talking about how the US government in the 1950s thought that the Soviets were going to invade Alaska.
Why?
Invade, not evade.
Isn't that like a Fallout 3 DLC plot?
Yeah, something like that. It's sort of like Red Dawn, but boring.
Well, that's not a good sell because Red Dawn is great, but if you make it boring,
Yeah, then it's not good anymore.
that is not great.
If you make it not be good, it's no longer good. This is how it works.
who wants to remake Red Dawn in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, it's already been remade like a few years ago.
Yeah,
I know, but, like,
and no one
better.
liked it.
Oh.
Exactly. Let's do it good. 80s style cinematography.
We'll put Charlie Sheen back in it and just pretend he's like a high schooler.
Charlie Sheen will play every single role like Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to see Medea with Charlie Sheen.
Medea and Red Dawn.
All right. So, what time frame were we talking about for the U.S. like preparing for a Russian invasion of Alaska?
1951 to 1959. So,
the
That's
very
a long
on
time.
brand. Yeah, they spent a lot of time, and we're going to find out a whole lot of money on this. So, you have to remember that Alaska is not a state at this point.
Oh, yeah, it was a colony.
Wait, it's a state?
It's a state of mind.
You know,
I've
there's
gotta
like
check a map.
solids, liquids, gases. Those are different states, and there's also Alaska.
Well, no, Alaska's like Jersey. It's a vibe. So the Jersey vibe is like, tracksuits, chains, being vaguely Italian, even if you're not. The Alaska one is like
Moose.
dad on a crab boat, going hunting alone for 3 months,
Yeah, it's
getting universal basic income so that you can afford to buy Spam.
Yeah,
Yep.
them paying you to live there.
The Alaska vibe is I'm going grocery shopping. I'll be back in 3 days with a moose carcass. Like,
I'm going to the store. When will you be back? Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Remember to take the shotgun in case you break down.
but
You know,
actually,
it's the one state where if your dad goes to buy cigarettes and never comes back, he probably did actually die.
oof.
Oh,
You know, he
you
went
guys-
to the trading post 500 kilometers away and got mauled by a polar bear.
Have
Oh,
you guys
man.
ever Google Earthed or like satellite Google Maps Alaska?
Mm-hmm.
I have. They have
little bit?
bald eagles like we have seagulls here. It's pretty
Huh.
cool.
It's just ridiculous.
I follow some people who live way up in like northern Alaska and Canada, and it's so strange because they'll be like weekend vibes emojis, and it's a picture of like a bunch of reindeer feet in a pot, and they're like cooking with the bae.
Wow. I wonder how reindeer feet taste.
Apparently,
Puffy?
the fat behind the eyes of caribou, freshly after they're killed, tastes like cooked bread.
Who figured that out?
It
Someone
was
who had
an
bread.
A
Inuit.
hunter.
It was an Inuit thing. It was like it's like a delicacy kind of thing. It's like a
It's probably good for you.
well, because it's hard to get. You got to go and kill a caribou and then
Just a little bit of
Quickly-
meat.
Like
Quickly,
immediately
you know.
cook that fat and
well, no, you don't. No, you don't even cook it. You just eat it.
Oh, you just eat it straight.
Ooh,
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know,
Put out like a
actually
Halloween party.
eating
Ew.
the
Yeah.
Inuit diet of meat is actually really good for you because they would like eat a lot of stuff raw because I guess foodborne illness is like less of a thing in that climate. And you actually got like all the vitamins you'd usually need from a plant-based diet in like seal blubber and stuff.
And
Ooh.
plus, there's no additional
Yes.
hormones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all organic.
It's
Very
like,
organic.
It makes sense because like you're just eating the meat of stuff that eats the grass, so you're getting the grass and the meat.
That's right.
Yeah, so the point being, Alaska's a bit of a different world to us as, you know, soft mainlanders having summer and walking to the grocery store.
And
Having
typical times for
Industrial
daylight.
civilization.
You
Night.
know.
Yeah, those sorts of things.
You know, industrial
Pathetic-
civilization and its consequences have been a disaster for humankind.
You can't see it because of the background. I'm actually in a cabin doing this on a typewriter. And I've written some very interesting treatises. I'll send them off. Those are going to be in the show notes.
The carrier badgers are on their way.
Carrier badgers.
I'm telling you, carrier pigeons are for suckers. Carrier badgers is the most secure way to deliver mail because no one would fuck with a badger.
Well, that's how I always feel like when I see, like, people who live in England. I just imagine, like, a little toad with a rucksack delivers them their mail to, like, 502 Tiddlywinks, East Wakingtonshire.
East Wakingtonshire.
Mom, the mail frog is here again.
The
He's
location of the new,
Papa.
the
You
new
have to give him, like,
corporate office of crack ops.
all sorts to pay him.
You give him like a guinea or whatever.
A guinea.
Fake money that they have.
Just give him a plastic coin.
Would you care
sure,
for a
yeah.
wine gum, Mr. Toad?
Rat.
Yeah. Actually, all transactions in England are done in either stout or scrumpy. Look it up. They have a scrumpy-based economy. It's
Yeah,
very
you
efficient.
gotta collect those scrumps.
It's not fiat currency, so it's
Fiat.
pretty cool.
All right, so
Oh yeah, Alaska.
Alaska and the Russians in 1951 to 1959.
Brad, please cut some of that out.
No,
Probably
keep it
not.
in.
No.
Keep it.
When do I ever cut out anything we say?
Yeah, Brad, we can
That is,
tell.
that is the content that our viewership
Exactly.
loves.
Oh god, yeah, so 1951 to 1959. I mean, so since Alaska was a territory, sort of like Puerto Rico is today, it seemed like the US was way less confident about their hold on Alaska, which makes me think that that was kind of the reason it got statehood, is they were like, oh, this is just rubbing against Russia.
Yeah, it used to be Russia.
Yeah,
Okay,
did we
it used
buy
to be
from them?
Russia. We bought it from Russia, and at this point, the like white, like American-born population was much smaller than the native population. So the U.S. was not secure on their hold in Alaska at all.
Wonder what could make them think that.
And this was interesting because I read so it was 700 pages of just miscellaneous documents, sort of making a mixed narrative around the story. Very non-linear, almost like a Quaalude Tortellini film.
Yeah, that's the guy that all the film students like, right?
Yeah, Mr. Quaalude himself. So it was a little bit of a challenge to go through this, because I like how the U.S. deals with FOIAs, where it's just like, we'll throw information at you until you give up.
Yeah. Can I please have a specific document? Here's a banker's box.
Yeah, here's like 1,500 documents. And the funniest thing is some of them were documents pertaining to the agents, like just giving you basic information. And it would be stuff like their marital status would be blacked out, but then it would have their name in the corner.
Oh, kind of like JD's last name is redacted.
Yeah, no, but it would be like, oh, so I can't know if you're married or not, but I know your full name. Thank you.
Cool.
Great security.
Yeah, hair color, redacted, eyes,
Hair-
blue. Okay, cool. Thank
That's
you,
what
government.
this tone is. This is actually the box says it's lightest redacted.
It just
Okay.
says Irish in big letters on it. What do you want? Mess me up, Barber. Make me Irish looking.
Barber can't. Okay, so this is the phrasing used in the document. Administrational plan administered and based from area outside of Alaska to preclude the possibility of capture or complete breakdown.
Is there a catchy acronym?
No, the point was that this program, they didn't even really have a name for it. Depending on the documents, they called it just either Operation Washtub or Operation Alaska.
I actually like that one better because it's very simple.
What?
It's not like MK Ultra where you're like, what does that mean? Operation Alaska. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
they're so uncreative, though.
I'm honestly surprised it's not like Operation Fuck the Ruskies,
Yeah.
and this is just a
But they
subset
couldn't
of
even
it.
decide. They're like, is it Washtub or Alaska? And I guess it's like, you're washing Alaska, you're scrubbing communism off of it, and the
Private
water
sewer.
is just turning red.
We're giving you control of Project Seal Meat.
Oh, God.
It's a gray op.
So the point of this operation was to train random civilians in Alaska on different spy skills and methods of guerrilla warfare in case Alaska was invaded by the Russians. Some of
Red
these
Dawn.
Yeah, like Red Dawn. Some of these included cover stories, pretexts, and deception, simple encoding and decoding, surreptitious photography and microphotographs, secret inks,
Secret inks.
methods of observation,
Alaskan-
airdrop and pickup techniques, including recognition, scouting, patrolling, map reading, and sketching.
This makes it sound like a kindergarten class with
It
some spy
does.
stuff on it there.
Is this one of those like spy kits that you can buy at like Target or something? That's
Yeah.
just like, all right, here you go. Agents.
Invisible ink.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's
Just
some
with a little
lemons.
light.
It sounds like CIA Boy Scouts.
It does,
Yeah,
and
it
it's
really
funny
does.
because if you look at the document, this is an outline of what their training program is going to be. So cover stories, pretext, and deception, 8 hours. Secret inks, 2 hours. Communication, including telegraph, radio, etc., 20 hours.
Now, I know you've heard a lot about secret inks, but forget everything you think you know.
You know about secret
We're gonna
inks.
get down to the real things. About
Russian secret police techniques, just like you learned in the Boy Scouts, right?
Yeah.
You know, when
How
it's
to-
like
how to-
8-year-old
how to-
you.
how to break the will of peasants. It's like a merit badge or
Yeah.
something.
Well, what you're supposed to do is use a rubber hose or a phone book because it doesn't leave marks.
Doesn't leave bruises. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a
rubber
requirement
hoses-
for
okay.
first class.
Fun fact, in the Soviet Union, torture was illegal, so they would just beat you with a hose because there was no proof. It's great.
Beat you with a hose.
As any Chicago cop in the 1950s would know.
Oh.
Or currently.
So the whole thing with this is it was around the premise was that if Alaska fell, that they would run this whole program out of Washington state, and a lot of people move between and travel between Washington state, Oregon, and Alaska. So that would be a good cover story for intelligence to come back from Alaska. And also to keep
Intelligence
people
in Alaska.
Yes, and to keep people from giving up other agents. Agents would not know, they wouldn't interact with each other at all. In fact, a lot of agents might assume that they're somehow special and there weren't hundreds like them.
Hold on, this is domestic gladio.
Yes,
This is domestic gladio.
this
What
is domestic
what is
gladio.
that?
We'll do gladio later. That's a two-parter, but we left a bunch of spies after World War II all over Europe. In case the Soviets invaded, they got all this kind of training. But the gladio people got a bunch of guns and explosives training, and they ended up doing a shitload of terrorism.
Well, the
Yeah.
Alaskans did. I don't think they needed the training on guns. They voluntarily moved to Alaska. They probably already know how to use a gun.
That's true. And you have to be a real fanatic to live up there.
Right, and another interesting thing is that they didn't have any women operatives and no natives.
Just for the fellas.
Yeah, just for the white fellas. Their reasoning was that the you read stuff in this like the Eskimos. Apparently, they drink too much and cannot be trusted.
Okay. Yeah, this
Uh,
sounds on brand.
So here's an actual quote that sort of jumped out at me. The Eskimo, as a rule, does not know the points of a compass.
Okay, so I love to hear sentences where we start with the blank being a racial group but singular. It's like the white generally cannot jump. That generally a good indication that you're
White
not getting
as a
good
rule.
sources. The
As a
white
rule.
As a rule,
cannot jump.
Like I just someone from the CIA went to Alaska, and I guess that's a stereotype I didn't know about. That's like saying the Italians, they just really don't like butter, and they can't really foxtrot that well. Someone went up and was like, you know what, the Eskimos just can't use compasses.
Yeah. Hey, excuse me, sir. I know that I just stopped you on the street and you don't know who I am. Could you please read this compass real fast?
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, they don't speak English.
It's like, but they all do. I know that they do.
Now
Okay,
they
this is
do.
sounding more and more like CIA Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
You had to be a white dude to be in it.
Yeah, weird like all.
Did you
male
also have to be
crypto racism.
Mormon?
What?
Mormon? No, yeah, but you did have to be a
No,
nephew.
it's not the FBI. This is the military, right?
Okay.
Oh yeah, the FBI is full of Mormons. I always forget about that. So there's also different interesting things. There's a lot of weird typos in these documents too. And something I noticed is if you look at the applications and descriptions of the operatives, that when it says race, like race Caucasian, which I don't know why they put that on because they were all white dudes. Race, the letters would not be in a straight line, so it kind of looks like when people on Twitter are like using that mocking tone, like it'll be like R and
capital
a big A, like race Caucasian.
Race redacted.
Yes, the redacted race. They
Redacted!
So a lot of the documents too are discussing kind of how the Soviets did guerrilla warfare and like trained and funded partisans in Eastern Europe during and directly after World War II. They spelled Ukraine Ukrania in these documents.
That's pretty festive.
The magical land of Ukraine.
Ukraine actually sounds like a cool place.
That's not a country that exists.
I can vibe with Ukraine.
Yeah.
Also,
I think that new D&D setting right there. Let's write it. Fantasy.
I think Ukraine just needs to. There should be a petition out to change Ukraine to Ukrania.
Yeah,
not Ukraine.
That's what we need to do with Ukraine.
Ukraine. The mythical.
That's what needs doing.
It's. I mean, I think it's a good name.
Well, look, okay, Ukraine has this issue where the Western people in the country, they want to be Ukrainian, and a lot of the people in the East want to be Russian. Why not split it down the middle 3 ways? The West can be Ukraine, the East can be Russia, and the middle part can be the Magic Kingdom of Ukraine.
And it's
they
like
can have
very
a monarch
thin.
again, like they want to. Nazis can go to the West.
It's like 20 feet wide, goes right down the middle of the country.
Yeah, the Kingdom of Long Ukraine.
Yeah.
It just goes across the entire world, like up and down.
It's like there's that one. I think it was the guy that owned the Dallas Cowboys or something. He was trying to buy land direct, like in a straight line from the Mexican to Canadian border of the United States, like through like Montana.
Why?
And they stopped him because like, no, there cannot be a border of
private property.
You cannot literally be a feudal lord. Stop trying to do that.
But everyone wants that.
I honestly think he just wanted to ride his horse the whole way.
So going back to Alaska, so here is a very interesting thing about how they viewed their agents. So despite these all being red-blooded, white-skinned American men who all seem to be born in Idaho for some reason, quote, it must be assumed that the enemy agents and enemy military forces will neutralize a number of these agents immediately upon occupation. Hence, a sufficient number of agents should be selected.
They're literally trying to do human waves against the Soviets.
These guys are cannon fodder. They are well-paid, decently trained cannon fodder, but cannon fodder nonetheless.
They've done a community college course on spying, and they're going to go beat the Ruskies.
They're going to beat the... Yeah, but I love that comes up multiple times throughout all these documents. That you were just going to send, like, human shields of spies against the Russians.
You know what? You say human shields, I say well-regulated militia.
I just keep thinking of the Shrek meme. Some of you may die, and that's a chance I'm willing to take.
But it's
Go
funny
after
because
the ogre.
They keep talking about patriotic duty in here, and I'm just imagining these guys being like told, like, you're special. You know what? You're gonna help us beat the Russians. You're a true American. You're a true American patriot. And then it's like there's secretly like half of the village is being trained for this, and the government is just so prepared for you all to die.
Everyone is told that like you are the only spy for 100 miles.
Relying on
you own, and you alone are the one who must stand against the
Everyone
Russian
thinks they're Rambo, but really they're like a Russian soldier circa 1943.
I like to imagine that there's one village where everyone noticed everyone was doing spy shit, and so everyone thought that everyone else was Russian spies.
Oh, and they just start reporting on each
and
other.
it was just a giant like Ouroboros kind of circle.
Oh, that would be a fun farce. Like a very 50s style festive, and then like someone falls in love, and then there's a wedding.
Sitcom idea.
Yes.
House full of spies.
The people they went after
We'll call it Ukrainia.
So they must be permanent Alaska residents with convincing reasons to be there. And
like what? What convincing reason is there to live in Alaska unless your ancestors have been there for 1,000 years? No, what possible reason could there be?
Like,
I'm glad you asked that, Jack. Farmers, trappers, fishermen, and especially pilots.
to move the farmers, trappers, and fishermen.
Oh yeah, Well, if you don't know, I mean, a lot of villages in Alaska are completely reliant on small planes.
Yep.
Like if you want to get to those villages, you have to like charter a plane, fly in. So you have a lot of like small time pilots there.
Small planes whomst have depression.
Yep.
Small planes. Yeah, no roads here. No roads lead to Rome.
Mm-mm.
Everyone, do your X arms. No roads. We are anti-infrastructure here,
We do
unless
not
that's
like
air-based
roads.
infrastructure.
Build the damn trains.
So they must not be logical victims or internees. They must not have ties to the military.
Except
And-
for their
Aside
extensive
from
spy
the
training,
massive
yes.
paycheck and spy training.
Right, but they can't be like veterans. Their goal would be people who the Russians would not like totally shake down, which makes me wonder why they didn't just train the natives.
Because
They're just loyal
Racism.
alcoholics, apparently.
and they can't read the compasses.
They can't read. I know, just
That's sad.
they
You know,
just
in
don't
spite
have
of-
compasses.
In spite of being people who spend like half their lives on boats, they don't no compasses. No.
Yeah, hunting, navigating, just can't read that compass. And that's even funnier because a big chunk of these documents were basic words, a dictionary to communicate with the locals because they have obviously, special knowledge that a random white guy would not have, which once again, why didn't he anyway?
Yeah, this interesting.
It's like
It's interesting. As soon as the government authority disappeared after the Russians invaded, what do you think that these folks would have done with their guns and special knowledge to the natives? That's
I don't know. This is it's kind of getting an RPG
getting-
setup vibe. It's like
Big
if you
white
need
army vibe?
information, go to the local tavern and ask around. The locals will know what's going on. Hey, heard
Okay,
of
I'm
these
sure
rumors
in
lately?
rural Alaska,
Yeah, I
in, like,
saw
the
a
40s
submarine
and
off the coast.
I'm sure in rural Alaska in like the 40s and 50s that like if a white guy just randomly shows up in your village, you're like, what now? What
Just
could
imagine,
he possibly be
imagine
doing?
some cracker like jumping out of a plane and parachuting down to your town, and like just doing like how, and like speaking the wrong language that's spoken by the tribe like 200 miles to the east.
I'm glad you brought that up, Jack, because this dictionary is for Northern Eskimo. Now, the thing about that is Northern Eskimo is not a language. First off, Eskimos...
I wonder why we thought we were gonna have trouble holding on to Alaska.
Yeah. First of all, Eskimo is not a language. In fact, most people consider it a slur. There are like a half dozen languages spoken in northern Alaska.
Yeah. Okay. This is again
it's
on
like,
brand.
It's like I'm trying to think. It's like if China was having a plan to communicate with the Americans, and they're like, well, they speak Western Cracker.
I actually kind of do speak Western Cracker, to be quite frank.
How would you characterize the Western Cracker tongue?
Rough, washcloth.
Washcloth.
Washington
You've just been
D.C.
around Dad too much.
I done set down. That's a big one.
ain't.
So, this program, this operation, whatever you want to call it, would be concentrated around mostly rivers and inlets because we'd be expecting a sea invasion. So and then also the major towns. So Anchorage, Fairbanks, Kodiak, Nome, which is like all the way north, Hooper Bay, Valdez, Ketchikan. So sort of spread out, but focusing on waterways.
Yeah, well, of course it was spread out. Alaska's real big.
Alaska is hefty. But they weren't just focusing on the east, or the west. I don't like the Aleutian Islands because it's the far east of Russia, but also the far west of North America, and it just reminds
Yeah.
me that the world is a sphere and directions are fake.
Oh, okay. First of all, the world is scoop-shaped.
Yes, as we.
The globalists have gotten to Abby and they've propagandized her.
The world is a
World is shaped.
velociraptor.
If you put a tap in my head, the lies just come out like maple syrup.
Yeah, Abby getting lobotomized to make her stop believing in conspiracy theories.
That's what the allergy season is. The lies are just they're overloading.
So, do we have a plan to stop the Canadians from invading from the east?
I was thinking of that too.
This seems
actually,
like a huge oversight. I would want to
like-
have a circular defense to keep it
Yeah.
all safe.
Like if I was
Gotta look out for
going to
them.
invade, I would infiltrate Canada, and then I
Wow.
would come in from the east, and everyone would be like,
Caught
ah,
off guard.
the waterways, and it's like, surprise, I'm behind you. I came from Canada.
Let's
And
be
the problem
honest.
with Canadians is that they're so much like us, but they aren't.
Well, let's be honest.
Yeah,
The Canadians would probably come in and be like, "Hey, could you guys like give that to us?" And then be like, "No," and they're like, "Okay, well, never mind then." And they just go on
I
their way.
heard there were some gold and oil deposits out here.
That's right.
You folks want those anymore? Oh, okay. Oh, turn the division around, boys. They're
Turn the
sitting there.
vision.
Turn the division around. Tanks
They're
about
sneaky
face.
like Drake.
Well, fuck me, bud. You got a dart?
We're also assuming that the Canadians have a military.
They do.
Okay, the Canadians can be scary, man. Apparently they have like a base out in the very, very, very north of Nunavut because they like are totally expecting the Russians to invade for their oil rights someday.
Hey,
I think they're like Finland where they're nice until you like cross them even once.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Maybe.
I mean, ask those Canadian natives how nice the Canadians are.
Yeah, just
Those were mostly the British, I thought.
Yeah.
No,
I
the
think so.
Mounties are still
Oh, well, they're cops.
do mean
kidnapping
things.
women.
Well, it's
Oh,
the cops.
yeah.
You just assume that the cops are doing horrible things.
Oh yeah, well no, up there it's just
Here's
like
a gun and authority. Don't abuse
Oh,
it.
hey, and up there they get a snazzy hat and a horse too, so that really puffs
A
them up.
snazzy
Yeah.
hat.
So another fun thing was when they were talking about how the Russians would put together these operations in Eastern Europe, they kept referring to the governments of Eastern Europe, which was fun. It was so passive aggressive to read these like official FBI documents where every time they mentioned East Germany, it would be the government of East Germany.
Oh, that's so petty. That's a real jilted ex-lover type thing.
Yeah.
New boyfriend. The Deutsche Democratic Republic.
Apparently Russia brings Germany like flowers and brings her to dinner and won't show up in the middle of the night drunk and screaming, which is apparently some kind of deal breaker.
Or try and drug them with LSD to see if it makes them more,
Open to experiences.
Yeah.
Russia
Or
wears a
just-
shirt when it's in the house. It doesn't drink during the day.
Russia's never peed in the sink once.
Russia doesn't work 10 hours a day.
Russia does his
factory.
laundry.
And then come back and just be abusive.
Russia always remembers to buy milk and gas up the car.
Oh yes, another fun detail was the Eskimos occasionally exhibit a belligerent attitude.
Belligrant?
What the hell is that?
What is a
What
belligrent
does
attitude?
that mean?
I'm pulling up Google. What the
Did
hell?
they-
You don't know
did
what
they
belligerent
misspell
means?
I don't.
Belligerent?
Why am I typing in Google and not
Oh,
Belligrant?
I'm just kind of.
www.belligrant.com.
Belligrant.
Wait, did you
I'm
mispronounce
sorry, I'm
belligerent?
just kind of it's not autism, it's like when you can't get words.
Did you mispronounce belligerent?
Shut the fuck up, JD. I'm trying really hard here.
They're all inebriated and belligerent.
No wonder I didn't know what Belligrant was. It doesn't exist.
Abby must be one of those Eskimos. She's exhibiting a
Oh my!
belligerent attitude.
You guys should look up you guys should Google search belligerent. The images that come up under the dictionary are fucking hilarious.
Are there any
Brigitte, are there any Eskimos?
Like seriously, it's really funny. It's all these of this one guy like looking threatening to the camera.
Belligrant.
Oh.
That was good. That was a good
In
laugh.
this one, he's shirtless and holding a knife,
Oh, so he's British.
but he's like aggressively close to the camera.
He's wearing like a wife beater, like.
Oi, mate.
No, he's just fucking shirtless.
Oh, shirtless.
You know, I didn't know how to
Pretty
pronounce
British.
Connecticut till I was 13. Because the thing is, I read words in books, and
Nerd.
and then you just sort of read them, and my mind will just sort of like make something up to say. Anyway, so the example of a typical person to be on one of these principles, as suggested by OSI, is a professional photographer in Anchorage. He has only one arm, and it is felt that he would not benefit the enemy in any labor battalion.
So when they capture this guy and put him in the forced labor gulag to rebuild the harbor, he's going to be doing like typing or something.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So that doesn't come up again, but okay, so it's implied that they're going off of disabled white men in their 40s.
The perfect army.
Did you lose a limb in the war, but like don't have any records of fighting in the war?
Yeah. Did
Move
you fight
to
in...
Alaska and become a photographer.
Oh, but you have to have established residency for at least 6 years, so you look
Don't
less like a
worry.
spy.
We'll put your pictures in MoMA because we're up on that shit too.
Oh yeah. If you ever see a retrospective about 50s Alaska with like a bunch of really serious-looking fishermen, that is Mommy's Museum doing its job.
Museum.
Mommy
Mommy's
museum.
Museum.
Mommy has sent me up here to photograph some of the fishermen.
But this is so weird because it
crab
sounds
boats.
like they're talking about like the ideal candidate for this program, and it just sounds like there's one dude they really, really want in this program. It feels like they're vaguing him. So he's an amateur radio operator. He is a professional photographer. He is licensed as a hunting or fishing guide and well versed in the art of survival. There are no periods here, by the way.
Must have a full-time job and be at least 6 foot. Must have a car.
He is a pilot of small aircraft. He is a pilot of small aircraft. He is reasonably intelligent, particularly crafty, and possessed of sufficient physical courage, as is indicated by his offer to guide a party which have hunted Kodiak bear armed only with a bow and arrow.
He is
Wow.
a Taurus
name
with
is
a
Jeff.
zodiac sign, and which means he is steadfast and loyal, not like those Sagittarius bitches.
Yeah, this is clearly a Virgo, actually. As a Virgo, let me say, we love hunting with bows and arrows for Kodiak bears.
Look, as a July baby, it's all Cancer.
I don't know why I thought you were
That's
going to
all
say a gelato.
As a gelato,
you're
it's all
Italian?
cancer.
Hey. So fucking gelato is my...
But this
It's a
just seems
blue.
like the worst personal ad you put in a
Caprese.
newspaper.
Yeah, do they have these in the classifieds, like spy wanted, not spy wink?
I wanted.
If such
Like
an
the Austin
individual,
Powers quote hands.
if such an individual were
So
chosen,
called.
it would be believed that he would be eminently satisfactory as a principal and would be capable of choosing agents who would be capable of performing their assigned missions.
Whoever wrote this should be shot. They could have done this in half the number of words.
And here's the thing:
Eminently satisfactory.
this is
Say
the
good.
worst semicolon
sexy.
abuse. This is the worst semicolon abuse I've ever seen.
Oh, is this all one sentence?
Yes.
Oh my
It is.
god.
To the wall with him.
To the wall.
Or
Bye-bye,
you can
honey.
make fun of
Very
me
nasty.
for not knowing how
Touch
to
me,
read very
musket.
well, but you can't make fun of me when also they must have done this on purpose because these words look like they were photocopied like 8 times. I feel like I'm reading like a 10th hand document.
My god.
I like to imagine that the office that produced this report was like one disgruntled old guy who's in like a dead-end position at the FBI. And he's pissed off that they didn't give him a secretary, and he's just like chicken pecking the typewriter with 2 fingers. Click, click, click.
I think it's the guy that they described, and he's just trying to get out of here.
Oh.
He's just trying to describe himself. Like, guys, it's me. Pay me to go be a spy in Alaska. The Russians are never coming. It's fine.
It's
my
actually-
environment.
Would be pretty sick because you get cool training and gear, and they pay you, and you don't do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, you just
Well,
get,
and this does
you
kind
get paid
of
to
work.
go live in Alaska.
Yeah.
This does kind of work because a lot of these are skills that the people that they're recruiting already have. Like,
Yeah.
these are hunter and fishermen and pilots.
Yeah.
They
All of
just
them-
basically need to be taught how to use a radio and
Yeah.
special ink.
Did they have a requirement that you can't be running away from an illegitimate kid or a petty crime in the South? Because
No,
that's half
I
the Alaskan population. that
Feel
isn't.
like
They actually probably wanted that, so it made
Yeah.
it believable. They wanted a good reason why you're up there.
Required, bastard, face tattoos.
I have
Face
sired
tattoo.
I have sired 4 children in Georgia, and I hide from them up here.
well, no, half the population of Alaska is men from Idaho who are there doing seasonal work and then just getting drunk off season and
I've
bothering the
learned to
locals.
live in the mountains.
The,
And my training in the mountains has taught me to avoid child support checks and my paternal duties.
family court can't find me if I'm a spy.
Eternal
can't be-
duties.
They can't make you be a father in the mountains.
It's funny that they recruited Michael Jackson and had him sing Billie Jean to get people to join this. Yeah, because they wanted that demographic. Yo, Billie Jean, not my lover. The kid is not my son. I'm in Alaska. I'm a crab fisherman. I don't know who you are. Who's Jeff? Who's Jeff
Spy for
Nichols?
the
It's not me.
CIA. Billie Jean.
Man.
I'm just a
So,
spy who
anti-partisan
has a hunter
measures.
for cover.
And I wanna shoot my gun. I think it's good. I hit the note.
I'm in Alaska on the run.
That's good.
It's much
Maybe
fun.
we should start a musical group and do Zoom.
All right, so now we're gonna write a song too.
yeah,
we've got-
we're gonna write a
we've-
cover song.
We've got a new fantasy novel to write, a sitcom, and now this song.
You know, this operation is just a gold mine.
For
Hey.
The
real.
sort of gold
Hey.
mine that the people who worked in this operation might work at when they're not doing crime.
Which is half the time.
Half the time.
Alaskans have 3 jobs: resource extraction, petty theft, and being spies.
The white ones, at least.
Yeah, the white ones at least.
You
Although
know,
they-
well, hey, if there's anything you know about people who move to really harsh environments to work in an extraction economy, they just are there with the best of reasons in their heart.
Yeah,
they just
they're-
really.
they love to smoke meth and commit rape. It's not good.
Speaking of smoking meth, passive defense measures in hostile country include an intelligence network to keep the local commander informed of indigenous activity, and 2, consolidation of friendly installations and line of communication to simplify defensive requirements. However, the most effective military defense against active partisan groups is a well-trained mobile striking force, which can strike hard and quickly against the elusive enemy. These striking units must, necessarily, be specially trained first-class troops, which have the ability to seek out and eliminate the partisans. They must, in effect, be able to outdo partisans at their own game. The complete elimination of partisan units is necessary, or else their strength or organizations soon augmented and the expensive process begins again.
Was that one goddamn sentence?
That was like 3.
Oh
Okay.
no.
God, they must be able to strike effectively.
They must be able to put on bed sheets and suppress the natives.
No mercy here at the Cobra Kai
Yeah, so
CIA
much of
Dojo.
It's either indecipherable or just them complaining about the natives, and I'm like, dude.
Ha!
This guy is like mad at the grocery clerk at the one grocery store in Anchorage who happens to be like half native, and he's just like doing low
He's just here on his
individual
typewriter.
guy. It's like he's always drunk. He can't read a compass. He never gives me my discount when I clip coupons. He's terrible.
No, it's just
Jake
his
is a bad
ex-wife.
guy.
It's just his ex-wife who's Inuit. I just half of, like, expecting I Hate You, Carol to, like, come up in these
Fuck you,
documents.
Karen.
You know,
I never
Alaska.
loved you.
Alaska is the family court state, or rather, the evading family court state. And this is a
Oh.
very family court document.
Yeah,
This is a man who's trying to get his kids back.
Do we have extradition treaties with Alaska?
It's like, God, I hope not.
Well, you know, right now, they are kind of, technically, whether we want them to or not, part of the U.S.
Look, I think that you could probably dig like a big canal from the southern part to the northern part and just sort of float it out to sea.
It's true.
Well, that's what I'm hoping they do with California.
Well, no. What we need to do is we need to trade Hawaii for Puerto Rico.
Who'd we trade it to?
We would just give Hawaii to the Hawaiians.
Well, you'd use American Samoa as the go-between.
We would.
The
Yeah,
Samoans
we
get
just,
Hawaii, and it becomes part of
What-
American.
what
we
did
just
you
we
call
just
them?
tell Dole to go fuck themselves, and we give Hawaii back to the
Samoans?
Hawaiians.
So
Yeah,
this is,
I don't know if it's Samoa or Samoa or what. That's how
Isn't
Dwayne
it
Johnson.
It's Bella Grant.
That. Shut up.
it's Bellic. All right, you know what? Just because I can't read
Belly Grande.
or speak, and I didn't know how to pronounce Connecticut until I was 13.
It's a spicy episode notes.
So, remember the radio episode where we talked about number stations?
No.
Mm.
No.
No, you never
Oh.
watched it? Okay. Well, they used radio as the main means of communications, and as in the documents it was listed, shortwave to submarine, shortwave to airplane, shortwave to unoccupied listening post, airplane pickup of materials, courier, weak mobile transmissions.
Unoccupied parentheses. Psst, it's not. Listening post.
So the idea was to somehow have the people in Alaska send radio messages to people who are in Washington or in listening posts that were in Alaska but were not under the control of the Russians.
Huh.
And it doesn't talk a whole lot about the submarines or planes, but it also implies that there were submarines, American submarines, that would be lurking off the coast.
Ooh, lurking.
And an interesting
Are there
thing
any-
about...
Were there Russians in Alaska?
No?
Yeah, there's a Russian Orthodox community.
Well, there's like
left over
ethnic
from
Russians,
colonists.
but
Like
there's
yeah, like,
not...
like there are people who are Russian, but were there like Ruskies?
No. It
I
was the
should hope
50s.
not.
They were just paranoid.
They were anointed.
They're anointed. Yeah, you think the Russians need more Siberia?
So fucking
Yeah.
low.
They already have Vladivostok, and I'm sure they regret that decision.
Yeah.
We'll get them. We'll get them. The Russians will try to invade Alaska, and all of our spies will pop out of the brush, and it'll just be like, "Nani?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
Omewa
Because,
Moshinderu."
because they had these caches of materials and guns and stuff hidden all over Alaska. Just buried, just sort of as the
Like a
emergency
Minecraft
boxes.
starter chest.
They were
Here's your wooden pickaxe and your stone axe and some trees.
And funny
The
thing, so
Russians ever come?
Stop griefing our spy spawn with lava. That's not fair.
Find diamonds and build dispensers and leave traps.
stop growing sugarcane, guys. You can't grow sugarcane in Alaska. But the thing was, they had a lot of normal materials you'd expect in here, like winter gear, binoculars, guns, but also ski wax was one of the materials they were very clear about. You had to have plenty of ski wax to ski
So-
around with.
Was this going to be like the Finnish ski soldiers? Or was it going to be like a little bit less cool and slightly more racist?
This is
Less
gonna
cool,
be
more
like
racist.
Oh.
like any '80s movie that involves skiing as the pivotal competition, like Better Off Dead or something.
So you mentioned the spies, like, oh, if the Russians invaded, would they be able to jump out and defeat the Russians? Not anymore, because all the caches got looted. So
Well, yeah. What do you expect?
It's an entire state full of criminals.
It's
Of course.
Just a state full
Hey,
of
I
men
found
who
a
are
box
running from
full of
something.
Guns. Fuck yeah! I knew that Alaska was the promised land.
I could sell these to buy more reefer and meth.
Just like I'm gonna.
Basically,
Like, oh, what's your business? I'm going to be a government cash treasure hunter.
that would have actually been kind of a fun treasure hunt to be on.
Yeah.
It's like geocaching.
They about to say that's probably where geocaching came from.
Yeah. It's like, hey, there's I found one of the caches. It's at these coordinates, and I got a pound of Simtex. Not bad.
Yeah.
You can eat it to get high.
Wait, what?
You can eat Simtex to get high. It was a problem in Vietnam.
Wow.
How do you get your hands on
So here's the thing.
I wouldn't know.
This was a very, very, very expensive program because the yearly fees for retaining the agents would be about $30,000 a year. In
What?
today's money. In 1950s money, it was like $3,000,
Holy shit.
but it was the equivalent of $30,000.
That sounds low.
That sounds extremely high because they have jobs.
Yeah, they have jobs, and these guys are basically reserves. They just took them, trained them, and said they weren't working. That's the thing is,
Well,
the Russians
no.
didn't invade, so.
Okay, I'm no longer against this because this is obviously a form of welfare. This is just redistribution, so it's good now.
Let's just make sure that let's
They want
keep
them to
Alaska
feel. They
populated
want to
enough
feel
to be a
like they're
state.
doing manly work. As
It
long as they
makes me feel
feel
good.
like they're doing manly work, we can give them.
These poor bastards have night for like 6 months. Let's just give them something. Make them feel special, you know?
Well, I think the
Feel
real
like
use
they're in
is
the
that
Expendables.
It was
Is
a
that
morale
if
program
we
for
ever
Alaskans.
if we ever got into an actual land war with Russia, we could just take all of the agents from Alaska and be like, "You've already trained in Arctic conditions as a spy and soldier.
And
All right, you're the A team. Go get them."
That's the point of the program, basically. But the cost is why it folded in '59, and I don't know what changed because I think that if the government genuinely saw this as an imminent threat, they would have kept it going. So I guess by now they were like, oh well, no one's invaded in the past 9 years. This is such a financial distress, and this whole program, this whole operation was between the Air Force and the FBI and a little bit of the CIA. And there's
the
actually
most competent
memos.
branches.
Yeah, there's branch competition, and there's actually memos from J. Edgar Hoover saying that this is such a bad idea because he was convinced that as soon as the Russians invaded, that the other branches was going to dump this on the FBI to deal with.
I didn't
Like,
want to
now this is
respond.
our problem.
Yes, because a foreign invasion would be the Federal Bureau of Investigation's purview.
It was 1959, and his
Not the
brain was
fucking
like
army.
turned into oatmeal by now. So.
I'm pretty sure it started out that way, but you know.
He was born with oatmeal brain, and it just got like. Have you ever had like
It just
cafeteria
dried out
oatmeal
Yeah.
that's
Time
like
Oh,
just gruel?
It's like
versus...
leaving oatmeal out in the warm sun.
Oh,
No, it's
stick a
been sitting on
Q-tip
a
in his
burner
ear, and you could just
for 50
scrape
years.
it like a plate with
Ugh.
dried grits on it.
You would hear it squelch.
He started out with oatmeal brain. He died with grit brain.
grit brain.
I mean, it could be that like it was 59 and we were like the space race started kicking up and
That's a
Or,
good
like,
point. That
they
we
probably
shifted.
were reallocating funding from other places.
It also could be that we were kind of entering the Cold War at that point, because the Soviet Union, I don't think they had any nuclear
We've been in the
weapons that
Cold
could.
War.
Well,
Since
yeah,
46.
yeah, but we'd gone past the point where either side would probably invade, and like both sides kind of switched our defense plans to more nuclear weapons at that
like
point.
ICBMs and
Yeah,
Mm.
because the Russians like finally had
Cultural
nukes that
warfare.
could hit the U.S. in the late 50s, early 60s.
Oh, so they're probably like, this doesn't matter that much anymore.
Yeah, because
They could
during
do
the
so much worse to us.
between 1949, when the Soviets got the nuclear bomb, by the cool way, which is stealing it, and like 1955, they literally couldn't hit the U.S. with nuclear weapons.
And also,
well, I could throw it
Alaska-
really hard, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Alaska
with-
became.
Kiev,
a-
tоварищ,
With,
Kiev.
if they used a trebuchet, they could launch a 90-kilogram nuclear warhead up to 300 meters.
There you go.
Actually,
Mute
that's
him,
a thing.
mute him.
That is a thing. Have you heard of the atomic cannon?
No.
It is
We'll
a
talk
real-
about this later. This will be its
Oh,
own
So
episode.
cool.
It's
There
a
So-
real.
Fucking atomic bazooka.
In 1958, that's when Alaska became a state. So this was canceled in 59. So I think at that point, maybe there's more of a sense of security. And I do think it's different if a foreign country invades a territory versus a state that's sovereignly part of the U.S.
You wonder what the law would be on creating domestic gladio in a state versus territory.
Yeah. I mean, they'd still probably do it, but
It'd also
Oh,
just
I'm
be a
sure
lot, well,
they're doing it right now.
there's also a lot more bureaucracy yet to deal with. Like if you're operating in a state like that, you probably have to interact with the state and local
Oh,
officials.
right.
Like, hey guys, don't worry if that guy seems really crazy and is mounting a bunch of guns
He's with
and being
us.
very suspicious. He's one of our guys.
Yeah.
Please don't lock him up and then oust him as
Oh.
a spy.
I'm sure all these guys looked like serial killers. Like, that wasn't a term that existed back then, but it's just like, yeah, he's a guy who lives alone. Apparently he left his wife years ago. Sometimes he just disappears for hours at a time and comes back, and he just seems like a different person.
Ted Kaczynski, agent confirmed. Lives in a cabin alone, crazy beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is interesting because I didn't think of that, JD, but that's true that they never bring up any sort of local politics in this. It was just like, we're gonna go straight to the weird Bushmen.
Yeah, like that's because if it was a territory, it's just the federal government being like, "This is ours to play with for now."
Yeah.
Okay, we're done.
We don't have to
you
take
can
care of
have
you,
it, states.
But
Pick a governor. Pick some senators. No one's going to listen.
It's how do they spend more time talking about the natives or the Russians? Because I have a sneaking suspicion that there were two purposes to this, and there's a couple reasons why they were worried about Alaskan security, and one was internal.
oh, didn't think of that either.
Yeah.
But
It sounds like they're building, domestic gladio to suppress the Inuits, and
I
also
didn't think
fight
of
the
that.
Russians if that comes up.
Well,
And they gave up
so-
on that because they got a better hold on the Inuits.
We
the
learned from the
Russians,
French and
the
Indian
Russians
War.
are the main focus of this. It's kind of weird because like their jabs at the natives like are very frequent, but it's not like there's a paragraph on them.
It's just passive aggressive, like, oh, Karen.
Yeah, yeah, but more like implying that they can't read compasses.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the French and Indian War. We realized that like
The French and Inuit War, yes.
Inuit War.
The Soviet and Inuit War. There it is. Clip
Questions?
it. Did they do the P2 Masonic Lodge thing where they brought in the Catholic Church to operate secret terrorist forces to execute false flag attacks and blame them on communists? Or was that just in Europe?
You know,
Probably.
I think that's a little urbane for Alaska. I don't think the Catholic Church was too interested.
Yeah. Their loss.
Also, a lot of Russian Orthodoxes in
Hey,
Alaska.
they could do it with the Orthodox Church. They could have all those old believers, you know, and arm them.
God.
Because those guys are crazy.
Can you imagine the last thing you see before you die is a man in traditional Russian clothes with a huge monk beard?
Yes.
He's got a beard down to his knees in like an RPG.
And he's like,
Yes.
"Tôi budu svat."
I mean, we're being very descriptive and using a lot of imagery language, so it's not hard to imagine that. Yeah.
With he has like a censer in one hand, swinging it while the smoke blows all over the place in like an RPG. Hallelujah.
He'll do a blessing on you before he kills you.
Hail
He's
Saint
just that sort of
Nicholas
guy.
when you see him that I sent you.
They actually would be perfect for fighting communists because I think they're really big on the Tsar. Still,
Are they, or are they the ones that got kicked out by the Tsar?
Well, they're
That's a
just
good
they're
question.
just very much anti-communism because
yeah, they're like really
Out.
religious and stuff.
It was,
Well,
it
they're
was
really
ju- it was
religious,
just
but-
like it was just like no religion. Well, fuck you too. We're Russian Orthodox. Where do
I'm pretty
we
sure
go?
the old believers left before the revolution. Actually, I don't know. Some of these sects have like had a thing with the Tsar, or maybe I'm mixing them up with the Sabbatics.
It
Anyway,
never-
So hard to
Well,
tell.
it never really left though. Like it was still around.
I
Just
like
done in
the
secret.
what?
old.
Like Orthodox.
Oh, it wasn't even in secret. It was just heavily frowned upon, and all of the leaders in the church were Soviet plants.
Yeah,
Did they those require sunshine normal?
Yeah,
They
you know,
fertilized
they
them.
don't get a lot of sunshine in the winter, but they water them super frequently.
Okay.
and a lot of them did end up in the ground.
Oh,
Hey, there we go, folks. We're here all week.
Eh.
Yeah, Khrushchev, not a fan of religion.
The favorite Soviet plant was Daisy.
Okay,
Pushing up daisies, killing people.
Oh, I get it.
big dab.
I get it.
All right,
So
let's make that the
that's-
episode title right there, where he's dabbing with the ocean on his face. That's pretty good.
You are become the ocean.
He's the anti-Alaska. He's all sunny.
That's right. He's got a palm tree.
Big Jimmy Buffett vibes.
Bimmy Juffet.
Bimmy Juffet.
I've dunked on the Canadians and Alaskans all that I want to, and that's my entire goal for this. So if y'all don't have anything else to say, I'm good.
It's a pretty simple premise.
Yeah.
But it is just very strange to think that in the 50s, we were so scared of the Russians that we were just making sleeper cells in Alaska of fishermen, by fishermen, for fishermen, here at the Fisherman Choice Awards.
Of the fishermen, by the fishermen, for the
Live
fishermen.
on Nickelodeon.
That this peninsula on this continent would not perish to the Russians.
Everyone salute that. Salute your Kodiak bear. I like how we're facing different directions.
Well, you said my Kodiak bear.
Yeah. My Kodiak bear's over here.
So, Brad, do you have any thoughts?
No. None at all.
There are things we know, but there are also the ones we don't know.
I welcome this kind of examination.
The power of the presidency doesn't rest here.
Covert operation. Grave danger to the civilized world.
You deserve the truth.